Okay, welcome to this Three Quirks and a Turk at 89.3 FM. And you know what? We seem to be getting later and later and later every day. It's not the Three Quirks fault. It is the technology's fault. But I'm glad you guys are all tuning in with Three Quirks and a Turk. And as we say, it's Friday. Why are you being moody? You're going to shake your booty and you're going to tune in to Three Quirks and Turk. And we always want to bring you guys the best guests in the studio to be able to share and educate our listeners. And today we have the wonderful Nicole O'Sullivan from the Director of Bird's Eye View Consulting. How do you do?
Hey guys, how are we?
Awesome, awesome. It's Friday. What can
Happy
I say?
Friday, yoo-hoo.
Yes. It's a long weekend too, isn't it? June.
It is a long weekend. Yeah, exactly.
Exciting stuff. Are you in Sydney, Nicole?
I'm in Melbourne, actually.
Phuong, you know we don't talk to Melbourne people.
Sorry,
you know,
that's a filter. But actually, I
West.
wanted to do a big shout out to Daniel, because it was Daniel Tolson who's been on our show, and he highly referred Nicole to us. So
thanks, Daniel.
Daniel son, thank you, my man. Thank you. Daniel is a man of many talent.
Yeah.
Especially in the marketing space. So what's happening in your world, Nicole? What's a lot of things been happening? What's Melbourne look like?
Lots of things has been happening. I feel like, can we believe that we've been kind of locked down for a few months? It's kind of been a bit of a blur, hasn't it? But look, it's been good. I've just started my business venture, so it's almost been a year since I left the flight center world or the travel world, and went off and started my own business consulting business. So I was in the USA when all this COVID happened too, so I had to pack up really quick and come back before I got the doors shut on me.
Were you there on holidays, Nicole? Were you working over there?
I was working over there. I had I have some clients in the USA that I was helping with, and I wake up one morning with all these messages saying you better book your flight back home or you're not going to get home.
Pack your bag and hit the road, Nicole.
So I guess everything pre-COVID was going really smooth, and I was getting some traction with some clients, especially in the USA. And then now I'm sort of a little bit more focused on the individual person within teams, like business leaders, things like that, where they can actually start to really help their emotional intelligence growing at the moment, so that they can, when they have their teams back up and running, that they can really connect with their people and customers a lot more on a deeper level. So that's kind of what I'm focused on right now.
Yeah. So we're going to have the market come back. The market eventually will come back, and I know we're being positive here, but you know, when you haven't worked and you've demotivated, how do you get back on the wagon? Like, how do you get motivated again?
Very true. It's a really good question, because I guess right now we've all been sitting back and, you know, Friday, is it Friday? Because it feels like a blur day, like don't really know what days are what days. But I guess what happens is that, you know, leaders right now are really having to be in tune with their people on so much more of a deeper level, and what does actually motivate your people, what actually inspires them, and are we collaborating with them to a point where, you know, you don't just make the rules, say, right, come back to work. It's about what's going to work for them, how they're going to get the best potential out of their people. And this is where this diving into that emotional intelligence, if you can really understand yourself, and then you can really start to understand your people, and how you're really going to combine that with, you know, their DISC behavioral styles as well, so that they can actually then come back to work and really start to become really, really productive people.
So getting to know yourself, though, that relies on doing these personality tests. So you mentioned DISC.
Yeah, so DISC is behavioral styles. So DISC is around, you know, why, for example, like, why do I behave that way? And why do I get really cross when Jenny down the road does that, you know, every morning? And why is that really bothering me? So it's actually like that, understanding yourself and your behavioral style and others around you, but then you combine that with your emotional intelligence, where, you know, you can then start to understand why you actually are feeling that way and how like that.
Maybe have you done that test?
So I've done it years ago, but before we go so deep, it's Friday, you know, I mean, I want to slowly get into the strategy style kind of things, you know, but let's kind of like tiptoe into it a little bit. My thoughts is that, you know, a lot of people are thinking travel. you've been in the industry for 13 years. What's your take on the travel at the moment? Do you think that we will get to travel soon, national, international? I mean, you've been in the industry for 13 years. What's your thoughts on that, Nicole?
Well, look, I mean, this is probably the biggest extreme of any change in the travel industry that I've ever seen or experienced. I mean, I've been through 9/11, I've been through SARS, I've been through all these different things that have happened in the, Zika virus when I lived in America and all these things. And I think that this one is definitely the biggest impact because it's impacted the world and it's a global pandemic, but I guess travel is not going to be extinct. It's always going to be there. And I think right now, especially from Australia's perspective, I think they'll be very cautious about what they do. And first things first is they'll be domestic travel. Like they're going to open the borders up. They're going to start slowly. And as Australia, I'm one of those people, I have been very fortunate of the places I've been able to travel to, but the thing that I did before I started traveling internationally was see my own country, and we're the most stunning country. And this is going to be an opportunity where tourism in Australia is going to boom because we're going to have the opportunity to really we all want to travel. We're all itching to get on a plane. I know I'm personally itching. Like I just cannot wait. But that's going to be exciting for Australia and tourism.
Okay.
Because, we mostly rely heavily on international, but I think if we really do think about it, how many of us have actually can hand on heart say, I've been to all parts of Australia before I go on and travel the world. So this is going to be really exciting for Aussies, I think.
It's exciting though, isn't it? Like you've been involved in the travel industry. You've probably been around the world and back so many times. Phuong and I will probably be so jealous of some of your stories that you can share with us as well, Yeah. And now you're focused on the serious side, the business consulting and the strategy. And Phuong, you mentioned before DISC. A lot of people think, have I broken my DISC? Have I dislocated my DISC? Would you be able to elaborate what does DISC stand for in terms of the consulting side of it?
Absolutely. So if you can think of a quadrant, so it's 4 boxes, and DISC stands for, D is for our dominant trait, so how we're bold and determined and driven. That I is for influencing, so it's how we're outgoing, enthusiastic, and inspiring. S is for steadiness, so how we are tactful, even-tempered, supportive, that sort of thing, very accommodating. And the C is the conscientious, so it's that attention to detail, the analytical side of things. So just to give you an idea, generally we are 1, 2, 3. We actually are all styles, but we're dominant in certain quadrants. So, understanding where you fall is really then understanding how you behave, but then how you can react to others and understand and identify, they're in that quadrant potentially. That's their dominant style. And so now I can understand that that's just how they communicate and that's just how they behave. It's not personal. It's just something that I can do to now be aware that that's how they are. And we all have that style. So
is that something that you use a lot with your clients before you go into the consulting side of things?
100%. Like I know when I was an agent as well, like I got taught DISC a lot, like probably in the first stages of my career actually. And I still remember it like it was yesterday, and it helped me a lot. And I guess I just focused on it so much because I was so intrigued about it. But, for example, like I'm a steadiness person, that's my dominant trait. And so when I have a dominant trait come in, for example, like let me give you an example of a customer that's a dominant trait.
Yeah.
They'd come in and they'd say, Nicole, I need these flights. And I'd go, okay, like me being all steadiness. And I'm like, okay. And they'd say, I need this by 5 o'clock. And anytime past 5 o'clock, I need this price. And you'd go, okay. So once I was able to understand myself and know that they weren't attacking me, it's just how they communicated, then I could just respond back and actually mimic that way that they could feel that I was being attentive to their style.
Okay.
So it actually helps in sales dramatically when you can identify you, but then identify your customer or identify people on your team so that you can communicate really effectively.
So how would you apply this? Let's say that Phuong and we're going to walk into your consulting business right now. What this number you think Phuong and I would be?
Well, clearly inspiring, influential people. I mean,
Oh, please. I'm embarrassed now.
Peacock, by the way.
I'm a peacock, yeah.
Actually, Davey has the eagle. Don't you have the eagle hawk eye, Davey?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the name of my business. That's why I called it Bird's Eye View, because it was going to have the eagle, the peacock, the dove, and the owl. So that's the reason why I loved that theory.
So did you say there's an owl in your animal kingdom?
Yes.
Is there an owl? Okay.
Yep.
So what would an owl look like? Because I would assume owl would be someone who'd be very meek and mild and always sleeping on a job. Would that be right?
No, owls are so like, if you think of them as an animal, they're like super focused, and they're like really attentive to detail. Okay. You know, before they're going to take off flight and get that mouse, they're going to like really analyze the situation and make
that
sure
sounds
that
like Phuong then. That just sounds like Phuong then.
You know, owls are very spreadsheet people, you know, love a spreadsheet, love to be very organized, you know. Yeah.
Nicole, you can be a bit of dominance, a bit of I, a bit of S, a bit of compliance, all the areas, right? Because you sure can be more dominant in one area.
Yeah. Exactly. And we normally have like what we call our natural style. So that's who we are in our homes and normally. And then you have your adaptive style. So whatever environment that you're in, sometimes you have to adjust your style depending on what business that you are in. So I remember when I first did my DISC, I was very high I. And so, you know, I'd be very loud and I'd walk into a room and be like, blah, hi, you know. And so, but then when I became a leader, that switched. So it actually, depending on the job, it lowered my I and pushed up my S, right? So I became more of a leader that was very much about the team and really about, you know, thinking about others and put everyone before myself. Like that's how I was as a leader. And and I think that really did change in the job style that I was doing. So it was really cool to really know that was why I was doing those things. And then I guess over my 13 years and more has really been about identifying my strengths, and that is that human connection. I'm really great at like loving to hear people's stories, and I really love to really listen and connect with them. And I guess what that's been able to do for me is help me to regulate my emotions and also be able to respond in ways that's going to influence and inspire others to do the right thing for themselves as well.
Wow. Now with but I think you've just answered my question, where if you do change position in your company, in your organization, from a team player to a leader to overlooking the whole team, your DISC changes.
Potentially it does. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it might just be slightly, you know, it might just slightly change. But the thing is like, you know, for example, when I was in California working with the company that I was with, when I first went over there, they were really struggling in their sales. So they were about like 3% conversion, and they all are online travel. So they all just operate from websites. So, you know, these consultants were really like struggling, but once I got out there, they wanted me to do the sales training with them, and that's all fine to do that, but it was about really connecting to the people and understanding their motivators. And then as soon as I got there, I realized there was a girl that was running the business, or she was the team manager, I guess. And just like she was pretending to be someone that she absolutely wasn't. Like, so when she did her DISC profile and her motivators and her emotional intelligence, her natural style was high F and high I, but her adapted style was high D. And I was like, are you exhausted when you go home at night? She goes, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And I was like, I can see why, because you are not being your natural style. You are pretending to be somebody that you're not, but you don't need to be that person. Just be you, and your people will really respond to that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people just need to be themselves, and I guess you're right, because if people constantly put on this facade, it's like a full-time job trying to keep up with the Jonesy kind of thing, right?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And another someone actually reached out to me and asked me, because we're talking to you, they would say, give us some tips to get cheap flights. So to our listeners out there, really pay attention now, because we've got Nicole O'Sullivan, Director of Bird's View. She's been in the industry for 13 years, and she's going to give us some tips on how to get some cheap flights. So maybe fire away, let us know.
Okay. Well, first things first is that you know, travel agents at the moment are your best avenue. They are in the know. They know when things are going to be released. They have been all over all platforms when it comes to what's being released, and obviously all the changes and things about, you know, the refunds and all that that's been happening in the travel industry. They are all over it. So they are in the know constantly. What's going to happen, in my opinion, is that flights are going to go back up. And I don't know if you can remember, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was costing us nearly $3,000 to fly to New York. That's going to come back again. That's going to happen again. So if you can get onto websites or and really link or connect with an expert in that field, you're going to be able to be in the know so that they can call you when, you know, you're ready to travel, and give them the places that you want to travel to, and they can keep the hotspot on, and they can contact you when it's a release, because they're going to be good for a quick while just to get people back traveling again. But they're going to go up. So, you know, if you're going to looking at travel in the next 12 months, then I would be booking like as soon as we're allowed to. And then, that would be my hot tip, is as soon as we're allowed to, get on it. And then you can, you know, beat that yield price. It's going to be absolutely skyrocket.
Amazing.
Okay, Nicole, just on another, we're going to sidetrack a little bit. Where your business, your coaching business, we're focusing on leadership retreats and workshops. You were doing sales skills training workshops now. So team sales skills training. Now, how do you help a team to achieve their sales target? I mean, you know, motivation, inspiration, doing the DISC, like what other ways to help motivate a team to achieve that goal?
Well, I guess the thing that I love about what I do is that I really, it's not a blanket approach. It's always about understanding the business model. It's understanding the systems and processes that they're going through, because sometimes it could be a little roadblock in the or a way that they're doing things that is actually blocking their sales process. You know, I always stick to that sales, you know, there's 7 steps in the sales process, and, you know, they all work if you actually just, you know, follow that process. But sometimes it's just about really seeking to understand and not just going straight in and going, right, we're doing this session today. I normally try and go in a day or two before my training session and sit with all the people, have one-to-ones, sit with the managers and the directors and all that sort of thing, and really understand where their roadblocks are, so that then I can customize a actual training session specifically for their business that's going to really hit home as to how they can overcome those roadblocks together. And that's really what's been working for me. And, you know, going back to that USA team, you know, in 6 months, I got that team to change their conversion from 3% to over 23% in less than 6 months. So, you know, it was a really quick win, but it was basically the reason why we got the wins was because it was understanding the motivators of people and understanding their styles of how we communicate effectively to them as well.
Because every business have different business development strategy, and that's what you're focusing on. And I do know that every business, every team have their pros and have their cons. So it will be very challenging for you to be able to go into a corporation, and then, because it takes a while for you to actually work out the DISC, work out the intelligence, emotional intelligence of the people in the team. So how long will it take for you to actually determine what will be the right strategy to apply to that particular team or to that particular corporation?
Well, that's a great question. If someone has done that assessment, I can instantly get the result. So I can do it instantaneously, and I can pretty much be able to figure out on the spot exactly what that person or team is, where the gaps are. And then I can then use those assessments to then show as evidence to say, this is exactly where your gaps are. Let's work on some strategies together on how we're going to turn this around.
Okay. Because each roadmap to success looks different, right? So one of your tagline is you want to help your clients to build a roadmap to success for a better future. Give us maybe 2 strategies where our clients or our listeners can take away from this conversation today.
Yeah, great. Well, I guess the thing is that these 2 assessments, really what they do is they help you to be able to effectively communicate. They're able to help you influence and motivate your team to the direction that you're wanting to go. So I guess the biggest tips I've got is that, you know, everybody needs something to strive for. So, you know, what results is it that you all want as a team, and what is it specifically do they want individually? It might not even be something to do with your job, but what is their personal, what gets them out of bed every single day? My tip is, if you're a leader watching this right now, you need to understand that about your people. That's the first thing. Then you want to work on some action plans. So what is the behaviors or actions that we need to be doing on a day-to-day basis, not only as an individual, but as a team as well, so that we're going to be able to strive to get towards those results. And then it's just really about that, you know, breaking it down, communicating effectively, you know, having regular meetings. I mean, this isolation has been a real challenge for a lot of people, because we're doing a lot of group Zoom. So I don't know about you, but we've been on a lot of group Zoom calls.
I love groupie, but not Zoom.
Yes, and I guess what that's doing is it's detaching that one-to-one valuing of one another, because you're in a group setting and there's going to be people that are on mute and they're like, oh my God. You know?
And you can see their face as well, can't you?
Exactly. But how
they
are
look
you
bored.
able to connect with them? Like, and so, you know, what we're missing is those one-on-one conversations, and people are not feeling valued by their organizations or their companies, because they're just like, oh, I'm just part of the mix, or I'm just, you know, I'm just one of the people that they have to tick a box, you know, and you don't want your people to feel like that. And especially coming back into the industry, like, you really want to make sure that people are feeling the love. So, you know, make sure you don't just send a text message. You know, you've got to be that you've got to really clue into the verbal cues and the and face and body language. So, you know, spend time getting back in touch with your people and back in touch with your customers. Oh my God, your customers, you need to keep in touch with them.
That's right. Are you feeling love, Phuong? Are you feeling in love at the moment?
Always. I'm feeling it from Nicole more than I'm feeling it from you, maybe. But Nicole, you know what? I'm just right now, even though the industry might be down, okay, businesses who are still running, they still need to look after their sales team. And now more than ever, sales team need to be more motivated, right? They need their actual care. They need somebody like you to actually right now go in and go, what can we refresh and what can we do? What can we change? And I've looked at your Bird's Eye View website, birdseyeviewconsulting.com. You had a 12 practical self-care strategies for travel agencies. And this strategy, the 12 strategies, can actually be applied to any industry, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you share about 3 or 4 of your strategies so that our listeners can know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is about looking after yourself. So you really got to put yourself first. It's about that things that you do to keep yourself focused and grounded and moving forward. I mean, I think there's been many times where we've probably felt that just sitting on the couch and watching Netflix with a bag of popcorn is the comfort thing to do. But, you know, if you keep in your mind and doing that, it's really going to be hard to get yourself back up and get the momentum happening. So, you know, I mean, things about like go out for a walk every day, even if it's 10, 15, 20 minutes, just get that oxygen flowing through your body. It does honestly help with your clarity of your thinking. It's really about connecting with people as well. So, you know, small little goals that you can do. But yeah, absolutely jump on my website, have a look at some of those tips, because yeah, I feel like it will really help sort of guide you into how to sort of navigate yourself through this really turbulent time we're all going through at the moment.
What's your website, by the way, Nicole? What's your website there? You can plug it. Give us a plug. What's your website and your contact details?
Consulting.com. So jump on and have a look, and you can schedule a call with me even for 10, 15 minutes. If you're feeling like whatever we've talked about today has sparked your interest, I'd love to be able to help anybody that's on a team, individual, doesn't really matter. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is about how we can really move out of this time, and when we are back into a little bit more of a flowing way of getting a little bit more certain about what's happening, we're definitely going to need some tuning of ourselves, you know, that self-regulation and really understand
self-love, self-recognition.
You can't love anyone unless you love yourself, right? So.
That's correct. So what's the weekend looking like for you, this long weekend for June?
My long weekend is going to be catching up with friends because now we're allowed to go to a pub. So it's going to be, I'm actually really excited to get dressed up and go out and, have a nice meal and a nice glass of wine that's not in the comfort of my own couch. So, I'm looking forward to that actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Phuong, our time's really running up. Anything else, Phuong?
No. Well, that was fun. I mean, going back to the self-care, what self-care work are you doing for yourself during this COVID-19, apart from the popcorns and the chips?
Well, I've watched as much Netflix as I think I can. I've gone through a few series now, but I've got to say one thing that I have done that if you had have asked me this before when I got back from America, I wouldn't have believed you. But I've been going for walks every day. I've been the healthiest I've felt. My mind's been super clear. I do not watch the TV or the news. And that has absolutely helped me dramatically. And so I'm feeling great. I'm feeling fit. My jeans fit amazingly, even though I eat popcorn. But it's awesome. Yeah, I'm loving it. So that would be my self-care tip at the moment. I just take care of my mind. Yeah.
Amazing. Nicole O'Sullivan, Director of Bird's Eye View Consulting. Thank you so much for being with Three Quirks A Turk today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners out there, if you want to reach out to Nicole, please reach out to her on her website. But also we'll give her information, and this conversation will also be on the Three Quirks and Turks Facebook. Please reach out and support Nicole on behalf of us. Thank you for being with us today. Have a great weekend, and we look forward to bringing you back with the Three Quirks and a Turk.
I love it. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing long weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Sayonara. Bye.
Bye.